Hi Math 3 students, this is Mrs. Cohn. I wanted to make you guys a video to help you out with the functions assignment that Miss Wynn posted this week and tell you a couple of important things about that functions assignment. So if you take a look on our Schoology page here, okay, yours will look similar, mine looks a little different because I'm a teacher, but here is your Schoology page. And in the materials section, we have posted the functions and graphs assignment. So when you're on the home page, here's the latest update for this week. It does have our office hours if you need help personally with anything we've posted. Okay, and if you scroll down, it'll say functions and graphs for this week. Okay, so if you click on that assignment, here's the page with all of the directions, okay? Now, it does have a due date of this Friday. You guys, it does not have to be done by Friday, April 3rd. If you need more time, if you're waiting for technology at home, if you're struggling and you need extra help, it does not have to be done by April 3rd. So that's this Friday, April 3rd. If you need extra time, that's no problem, okay? We're going to be flexible about due dates right now because we know you're getting used to learning at home and it's a little hard, and maybe some of you are still waiting for Chromebooks or Wi-Fi hotspots. So here are the directions, okay? You're going to download the PowerPoint slides that Miss Wynn made for us. There's a PDF version if that works better for you. I'm going to use the PDF here on my computer. And we broke them up kind of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 assignments. You can do the whole thing at once if you're on a roll and you want to just go for it. You can take longer than 1 day for each assignment if you need extra time. If you're helping maybe at home, your parents are still working and you have little siblings you need to take care of and you have to skip a day or something, that's okay. It doesn't really matter which days you get these assignments done. We just kind of broke it up for you to give you an idea of if you did a little bit each day, you would finish it in about 5 days, okay? So there's login information here, which I'll explain when we look at the slides together. Day 5 is not posted yet. We're going to post that on April 3rd, so you don't need to worry about that until we post it. Okay, so let's take a look at the actual assignment. So there's a PowerPoint, if that works better on your computer, and there's a PDF. I used the PDF on my Mac here, and it looks like this. So let's take a look at the actual assignment directions, okay? And again, this is to start off this week. You don't have to finish by Friday the 3rd, but it would kind of help you get ahead in this class if you want extra time in your other classes coming up, okay? Here are the standards that go along with this, just like when we hand out a packet in class. It would have the standards on it. This does too. So here's our guided activity for the first 2 days. And again, if you go faster than this or slower than this, it doesn't really matter. Go with the pace that helps you understand. So we're going to use some data here about California and the coronavirus, okay? So here was data that we took, okay, starting on 3/12 through 3/5, which of course is not filled in yet because that time hasn't passed yet. And it has some data here to kind of show us the days they do know about so far. So that's these dates up here. We took it and we made a little sheet of the first 6 days of data. We're going to use a program called Desmos to help us graph this data and see if we can predict the future of the coronavirus. So here's the actual directions, okay? We're going to go to a website, student.desmos.com. So as you're watching this video, the best thing that you can do is pause and do these steps one at a time. So I want you to pause right now, go to a different tab on your screen and open student.desmos.com. This works a lot better on a computer than a phone, so if you can do this on a computer instead of a phone, I would highly recommend it. So pause right now, open a separate window, and go to student.desmos.com. Okay, so when you go to student.desmos.com, you're going to get this screen and it's going to ask you for a class code. So if I look at the slides here, if I go down one more, here are the codes for period 1 and period 2. So you need to type in this code if you're in period 1 and this code if you're in period 2. I'm just going to pretend like I'm a student in period 1 and I'm going to type in this code right here. So 5DXMTM. And I'm going to click join. And here I am on the assignment. So right now, I want you to pick the code for whichever class you're in, pause this video, and type it into Desmos so you get to the sign-in screen. Do that now. Okay, now that you're at the sign-in screen, you're going to sign in with Google. Make sure, of course, you use your school email address. And it'll put your name in for you because you're using your school email. And I'm going to click Go. And it'll bring you to this front page here, okay? So if you haven't signed in, go ahead, pause this video and sign in and get to this first page that says Let's Focus in the column of California right now. Okay, great. So now that we're on this front page, okay, it says the slides correspond to the days, okay? And again, you can go faster or slower. If you want to do this whole assignment in one sitting, you can. A bunch of you already started and finished it, and that's great. If you want to take a couple days, wait for our office hours for help, that is fine too, okay? Then there are directions for the slides. It says slide number 1, nothing needs to be done on this page. We're going to observe the graph and table, okay? So here's the slide with the information. So we've kind of copied like what it's going to look like for you, okay? We copied what slide 2 will look like for you. We're just selecting a choice on slide 2, okay? Slide 3, nothing needs to be done. We observe, okay? 4, observe. 5, where we have some information to read and then we need to type in an answer. Okay. So here's the typing part, will look like this. I'll show you in a second too. Okay. And that would complete the day 1 and day 2 portion. Okay. And then there's a new section for the day 3, day 4 portion that has a quote-unquote real-life scenario. So we're going to pretend like Joe is a young and healthy guy, but Joe likes to party, and he does not like quarantine, and he does not know he's infected with coronavirus. He goes to a party. There are 50 people. 28 of those people get coronavirus after going to the party with Joe. Saturday, he goes to another party, and there are 50 people there. 28 of those people cannot breathe and go to the hospital. So every time Joe goes to a party, 28 people get sick the next day. And so we show a graph of what this would look like if Joe kept going to parties and spreading the coronavirus around every day. And then your activity, okay, has new codes because it's a new day, and new tables and graphs of information to complete the Joe activity. So let's take it back up here and we're going to walk through this Desmos activity for days 1 and day 2. That just kind of gives you like an idea of what's coming here. So we just typed in these codes right here and it brought us to this page of Desmos. I'm not going to do the work on this for you. I'm just going to show you what to do. So we're going to focus on California, okay? That's all there is on this page. We're using the California data. And I'm going to click Next. This says Analyze data from table and graph and observe. So we don't need to do anything on this page. We need to look at what's going on in this graph. Okay? So let's take a look here. When I look at this data, I see number of confirmed cases in California and the day. And I see that they're growing, right? And this is a pretty like curved graph here, okay? And here is the data from that table laid out in numbers. So this is the same information plotted on a graph, and here's a table of the same information. Remember, we learned about linear functions, which went in a line. We learned about exponential functions, which grow over time. We learned about quadratic functions, which made a U shape. We learned about absolute value functions, which made a V shape, and we learned about linear piecewise functions, which had different pieces that did different things. So we have those 5 different graphs to think about. So if you look at this one, you need to ask yourself, what does this look like to you? Is it linear? Is it a straight line? Is it exponential? Is it growing? Is it quadratic? Is it a U shape? Is it absolute value? Is it a V shape? Or is it linear piecewise? Does it go in all different directions? Okay. Now we need to analyze and tell Miss Wynn which one do we think it is. So again, when we looked at that table, what did we see this doing? Okay. So I'd answer this question here, whatever I think the answer is. Okay. And again, absolute value would be a V shape. Quadratic would be a U shape. Exponential would show it's growing. Linear piecewise would show it going all different ways. And linear would be a straight line. So you pick your answer for this one. And then click next. Oops, too far. Here we go. Okay, here's the next one. So now it shows that data plotted on this graph here a little bit bigger. Okay, we don't need to do anything extra. We just see that Desmos will do this for us. It will graph the data for us and give us a nice clean table to work with. And now that you see this with the line through it, you should definitely know which kind that was, no matter how you answer the last question. Okay. Now it says look at the graph and you can see that the exponential curve fit almost every point. Moreover, the residual coefficient is almost equal to 1, which means that the function matches with this collected data. In other words, the function matches what we have here. This function right here matches this graph, okay? That's all we need to know. Independent variables is the number of days. The dependent variable is the number of confirmed cases. So it says this is the function that we got when we graphed. Okay, independent was the number of days, dependent was the number of cases. We need to use a calculator. You can open one on your screen in Google. And using the 14th day as the X variable, we need to determine the number of anticipated cases based on this function. So we're going to use this function, and we're going to use 14 as X, the day. Here's our X, right? So we need to use this. We need to type it into a calculator and see what happens. So right here, okay, I'm going to type in that function. 213.07 times 1.27 to the 14th day. Okay, so that's the information that I needed here. That's what I needed to figure out. That's my function. Okay, I submitted my response. Oh, I'm sorry. We should type what it equals to. Okay, so you should be typing this with me. You can pause this video at any time to type things with me and go back and forth between your screen and the video. We should type that in, and then I'm going to copy and paste this into my Google Calculator so that it will help me calculate. So Google Calculator. Let's see, won't let me paste? Nope. Okay, I'll just put it up here. So I'm going to ask Google, what does this equal? Oh, here it is. So I'm going to copy the answer from my Google Calculator. And I'm going to leave the formula and paste it here at the end. There's my whole answer. About 6,050 cases and a decimal point. I'm going to leave the decimal point because I did it on my computer so I can copy and paste. Okay. And then I'm going to go to the next slide. Now it says, let's look at a longer period of time with the same function. How many cases will there be in California 4 weeks after the initial date? So 1 week is 7 days. So I need to figure out how many is 4 weeks going to be. If 1 week is 7 days, then 4 weeks times 7 would give me my answer. So I'm going to use my calculator. 4 weeks times 7 days, 28 days. Okay, so that's going to be 28 days that we want to figure out. I'm going to use my calculator again. I'm going to figure out this function for 28 days. So I'm going to type in 2.1307 times 1.27 to the 28 days. I'm going to paste that into my Google Calculator and get an answer. I'm not going to do this one for you. You can paste that into Google Calculator and get an answer and put it here, okay? So you would put this in Calculator, get an answer, make sure it's here, and then you would share it with the class, okay? And you can see what other people put, okay? And then you're done. That was 7 slides. So that's your first 2 days assignment. I'm going to stop this video here and make a new video for the next 2 days. Again, if you guys need help, come to our office hours this week. Our office hours are posted on Schoology. But I think that you guys can walk through this without too much trouble with this video, okay? I will post a second video for the day 3 and 4 assignment. Thanks, guys.